Welcome back to another great episode of Refreshment for You. I'm the doctor, and the professor is backstage as he always is, doing the things he does to make this show go. Shout out to the professor. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be talking about
toxic productivity.
Nobody wants to fall victim to this. Trust me, I have been there, I've done that, and today I'm bringing you my best practices, and I hope you will feel like this time was well spent. While I am a doctor, I'm not your doctor, so if you're struggling with anything, I encourage you to reach out to a licensed provider who can help you with your story. Let's launch into it. Toxic productivity, high performance culture, and risk of burnout. Nobody wants to be there and do that. And yet you're probably tap dancing around the periphery right now, and you may not even recognize it. Anyone who's ever felt like their mind is racing ahead and their body is whispering, "Not yet, wait for me." And that's really speaking to the overachievers, the high-performing minds, the ones who have the goals and want to get it done. And while we can all be like that to a certain extent, we should never be like that to our body's detriment. My first takeaway for today, ChatGPT, it is a daily mainstay, like my personal assistant. And that's how I would challenge you to think about using AI today. You know, I've heard it said that AI is like 10,000 years of experience all wrapped up into an application. We are one human, one body, one mind, and while we can leverage AI to be more efficient in what we do, I want to caution you, not only use it responsibly, but take time after generating something to review it, to assess it. So, just like any other personal assistant that is capable of making mistakes or flaws or errors, you want to fact check things. You want to make sure that that information is customized for the product that you are delivering, and that is going to take time on the tail end. So if you're trying to increase your efficiency, AI is one way to do it, but you need to strike a balance by creating and carving out enough time for yourself to work with the information so that you are comfortable ultimately with the result. Second takeaway is about daily habits, building and developing a routine for yourself that other people are aware of who work with you. For example, if you're in a company, in an environment that uses Microsoft Outlook or any of the suite, schedule times in the morning, maybe at noon, maybe before you go home for the day, that are just email responsive times, depending on your business. So daily habits include carving out time in your calendar. I used to do 30 minutes in the morning for my emails, and I would schedule in 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes ahead of a meeting, asking for an agenda first. And if it was over a 45-minute meeting, I would speak to the organizer themselves and say, is there any way that we can trim this to 45 minutes? Because if a meeting is going over 45 minutes, it's too long and it's not going to be productive. The meat of the meeting should really be for 30 minutes. And then your action items, takeaways, and responsibilities and role assignments should be happening in the last 10 minutes, and then give everybody 5 minutes back. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but for the person who isn't scheduling in those breaks after and before meetings, they're really going to appreciate that. You'll be a superstar. Of course, I'm always going to throw some science into these shows for you. And research since the 1990s on repetitive strain injury, which people in today's business environment are at risk for if they're not taking routine breaks. This research correlates with research today, which best practices are for every 30 minutes of keyboarding you do, you should be taking 5 to 10 minutes of a break. Think about that. Do you do that? I'm going to guess you don't. because you've got to really work to do that. And if you're in a creative role and you're like, oh, I don't want to lose my train of thought, write it down. Write down your last train of thought. Go for a walk, go for a break, go get yourself a little food, a little coffee, whatever drives you. And I found even during my walks, that gives my body a time to be out in nature and to refresh and renew. And sometimes I'll be even doubly inspired because those are when my creative juices start really flowing. So I'd like to encourage you to do that. Build in breaks, walk, and think time. You can be really super effective. Building responsible daily habits. Lead the way. You don't need permission to do this. If somebody looks at your calendar and says you've got a lot of time blocked out, yeah, you do, because this is how you are best productive while honoring your body. The third and final takeaway is understanding body signals. Working with those natural biorhythms. Are you that early riser and gets like a lot done before 9 a.m.? Are you that person who eases into their day? Let your schedule reflect that. And in as much as you can manage your calendar proactively, do that. Push back on meetings that are at 8 a.m. If you start the day at 8, give yourself time to figure out what you're doing, ramp up, and then come to that meeting prepared. Push back on times of meetings. And use dictation. Absolutely. Microsoft Office suites have the little microphone app built into the toolbar. You're going to see it there in the ruler area. If you've never used it, I encourage you to do it. It is a different mental process than keyboarding. Like you are actually thinking about things as your fingers are typing. But for those who have had some injuries or are listening to their body or proactively don't want to have those RSI injuries, carpal tunnel, cubital tunnel, tendonitis, epicondylitis, all that stuff, you want to use dictation, especially for you Gen Zers out there. You grew up with a mobile device in your hand and you know that you've been using that and texting and doing, Game Boys and Nintendos and Xboxes and pinball machines and all this stuff. And then you're working all day at a keyboard. That cumulative stress can lead to trauma if you're not working in an ergonomic environment and honoring your body's signals proactively by building in breaks to your calendar. Those are my takeaways today. AI, building responsible daily habits and leading the way, and honoring your body signals and those natural biorhythms, just like nature has the rhythms and you hear birds going and they're really productive at certain times, and then you can hear them settle down and they're starting to wind down their days. We're not so dissimilar. Be the bird. Honor your natural body system. You don't see birds working super hard to get like 70 worms in a day. They're kind of going after the food as they need it, and they're honoring their bodies, their little bird bodies. I don't know if you can hear the birds behind me, but isn't that sweet? So we're going to wrap up toxic productivity, how to avoid it, and how to survive in a high performance culture with resilience and warding off a risk of burnout. Reach out to me at Refresh Meant for You. That's Refresh, MEANT, the number 4, the letter U, at gmail.com. So you can get a one-pager of these takeaways, plus maybe a couple of bonus tips from my lived experience. This is all based on my leadership and my 40 years of work, and what to do and what not to do, my best practices. Until next time, I'm the doctor. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye.